Welcome to the Why Not Today podcast. And I'm here with my friend Nichole Curtis as our guest today. And she is a friend. We work together, but she also works for Waterstone Mortgage, which is kind of cool with all my um, gravity towards water. So love that about you. So we're going to jump right in, Nichole. And I always ask people as we start, what's a Why Not Today moment that you remember where you were, what you're doing, and made a pivotal change in your life?
I kind of have two because to
Okay.
lead myself to this career, I was working as a processor and I
What is a
loved working
processor?
a processor in water, like with a mortgage company, and I
Okay.
was helping people with the paperwork, and I got to work a lot with the people. But then my job had become pretty fast paced, and I didn't get to work as much with the people and interfacing with them. But I was doing the job, I thought, better than some of the loan officers I supported. And so there was an opportunity for me to take the leap and become a loan officer myself. So I thought, why not? Why not take that leap and
Why not
just
today?
take a chance on myself? And so that was 2017.
Do you
And
remember where
then,
you were when you made that decision?
yes, I had just interviewed for a business development job with a real estate company. And they're like, why don't you become a realtor? And I said, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just go ahead and become a loan officer and go commission only. And so I'd signed up for the test and the classes that day and took the
Gave
leap.
away.
And
Good for you. Yay.
yep,
And
I
you said
didn't
there was
wait.
another one?
There was because back in September, no, I think it was August, you and I had a meeting, and I really wanted to reach a goal that I had in mind. And I knew I couldn't do it alone anymore, but I was kind of nervous to take the plunge. But we talked about your amazing coaching group, and I was so excited. And then, but still a little nervous. But after some talks with you, I took the plunge, and it helped me increase my production 40% from last year to
Wow.
from 24 to 25.
That's pretty amazing. So
Pretty
we're going to
amazing.
dig deeper into that in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, and I'm excited that you are part of the inner circle. Um, and it has been a blessing to have you. And I think that's part of the group is it's not just you getting, but you giving. And that's what I love about how the group works. But so I always talk about where I met somebody. And the podcast episode that was just the week before this was about networking, which is a word I don't really like, but it was really more about connecting. And that's really what networking is. It is not going to an event and hand out cards and you don't walk out with business. And I think that's the misnomer that people think, and they're scared of networking. And really, networking is just connecting and making friends. And so goes, be curious, not judgmental, but like, all right, where is this going to go? And you just never know. And so we met at, we finally figured out where it was, but Samantha Stevens, who's a friend of mine and a photographer in the area, and by the way, has been on the podcast, but she was doing some pop up events she was going to try, and she was going to do them monthly or quarterly. She did one and hasn't done them again. But I was thinking, she's like, oh, all these people are coming. Which you guys, coming, networking, often we think all these people, but you don't want all those people because you can't build those relationships. So I think there were six of us. Remember exactly where I was standing. I didn't even sit down. There was a high top. And you and I just kind of had a casual conversation. And then you reached out to me later because you wanted to connect me with somebody else. And it was kind of funny that this other person who was a real estate agent, who I guess you saw, she wrote a book. One of these days we'll get Jillian on the podcast, but we scheduled a time to meet and we had to reschedule a couple times. And honestly, again, a why not today moment. Remember exactly where I was. We were both standing there and they're like, we both looked at each other like, I don't even know who connected us and why we're supposed to meet. And then we finally came back to you, and both of us like, I don't really even know Nichole very well. And so it just goes to show that sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's you just never know where it's going to take you. And you just need to trust it and go with open arms and open, ready for blessings.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I love networking because I think it's fun to meet new people and you're right, you never know what kind of connection is going to happen from that. And I think that day that Samantha had that pop up, a friend of mine, Nancy Pav, had
Who
said,
I
"Hey,
met years ago, by the way.
nice, she's wonderful." And she had said, "Hey, why don't we try something new this year and just go to some events that we've never been to so we can like be in new circles with different people." She's like, "I got this one coming up. Let's go to this one." So I said, "Sure, let's do it." Another why not today moment. I was like, let's just do it. And I got to meet you and I was fascinated by your story and I was drawn to you. And then I just couldn't leave you alone after that. Kind of just needed you in my life.
Well, I appreciate that. And we know that we know that we know those people that we want to be around. And
Yes.
a friend of mine a couple years ago was teaching Reiki, and I didn't really know anything about it. So I was trying to ask her about it. She's like, "Do you feel people's energy?" And I'm like, never really thought about it. But as soon as she said that, I was like, oh my goodness, yes. And I started paying attention to the people that I notice their energy and people you don't notice their energy and people you notice their bad energy, like, yeah, you're not somebody I want to be around. And,
Right.
networking becomes building those relationships and friendships and being around like-minded people that fill you up, give you energy. You can call when you need something. Yesterday was a perfect example that you and I and a couple of or Donna, who is another person who's been on this podcast, but we went to a networking event. And I told you guys at the end, I felt like I was back in high school when we'd go to church and we'd get so much trouble because we'd stand in the back of church because, of course, we were always late. This was when I was in high school. And my friends and I would stand back there and talk about what we did the night before. And I kind of felt like we were the bad kids in the back of the class yesterday, not really paying attention. But, sometimes you need that. And it's not, and that's just a perfect example. It's not always business, and we need to let people see us real. And one of the reasons with this podcast, I don't edit the episodes, is I want it to be real. I want it real conversations. I want people know that we're not perfect and we have the ups and downs. So we're going to circle back around to you with that subject. So we did meet, and I still remember exactly where I was when we were talking about the inner circle. And it was kind of a casual, I don't know if this is for you kind of thing. And we started talking more about it. And I remember you said, you know what? Sounds like a great idea. And it's not in my budget for this current year. And I don't have the time. And I've got a big goal I'm going to reach. And I'm like, okay, but can I give you some thoughts? Like, if could you use the extra support? Could you use the extra push? Would you be further ahead or just wait and start in January? And I probably, if you would have waited till January, guess what? You probably wouldn't have joined.
You think? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. A couple people that were going to start in January and they're ghosting me basically. You probably
Well,
would have done that. But
yeah.
so the inner circle is something, if you don't know about it, you're listening to this podcast for the first time, that I kicked off last summer, and it was just something in my heart. It took a minute to figure out, but I just feel like people in business, especially women, because that's kind of the world I swim in, we're missing that support of like-minded people, somebody to talk to, somebody to bounce ideas off, somebody that's got positive energy, and somebody to kind of push us and celebrate us. And that's why I created the inner circle. It's not me teaching, it's not me training, but it's taking my leadership, my 31 years of Mary Kay helping people in business, knowing the games to play. I mean, I hate to say it, but sales is a game. And,
Right.
we were talking yesterday or Monday on the inner circle about one of the members, like, I'm putting stickers on a star whenever I do what I need to do. And so you got to play those games and know how to push for a goal. And so I love, first of all, how much you've grown and contributed to the group, and I'm sure gotten out of the group. So let's talk about you. You made that decision. And then what was different? And it's kind of a mindset thing. And by the way, spoiler alert, you did have a huge goal and you didn't make it. And we had a couple conversations about that. And I want to talk about that, especially because I think so often we hear people start here, finish there, have huge success, but we don't talk about the ups and downs. Like, I hear all the time, they were an overnight success in 10 years. It takes time, and you're not going to always succeed. And that's okay. You learn more. And that just means if you would have easily reached your goal would have been too slow. So talk about your journey, what you learned in the last 6 months, and how your mindset's changed.
I love that. So when I first talked to you about my big goal, and I think it was August or so, and I had kind of reached the halfway mark, or I was close to the halfway mark of my goal. And I just couldn't really envision how I was going to reach the rest of it. But I knew I was going to stay dedicated to my practice and keep connecting with people and build the relationships so that I could have the clientele come in. As a loan officer, my job is to help connect loan programs to the people looking to finance a house, whether it's a refinance or a purchase. And I figured just getting out there and meeting more people would be a part of that. I also run a networking group, so I thought that would also be another way that I would get the business done. And I've had coaching in the years past where It was very structured and organized and led by men usually. And they were very helpful because they were related to my industry, real estate industry. But then what I was really figuring out that I was missing in our conversation when you were describing to me your group is kind of the mindset and the women's support piece that I really needed because there's something special about being in a group of women that are like-minded and that are kind of driven, but the way they support each other versus how a male will give their support or their guidance. And I knew after the conversation that I wanted to be a part of the group. But you're right, I was stalling because I thought, okay, well, I didn't budget this for this year. My husband and I tried to be very diligent about budgeting out for the whole year of like what my business is going to need. And it really wasn't as part of our plan. So I came to him thinking, after our conversation, I came to him and I was like, oh, how can we fit this in? And he's like, let's put it in for 2026. And so I was thinking, yeah, that's what we'll do. But then, you and I spoke again and you gave me some good points about how potentially like I could maybe use the support and reach my goal. And I was thinking, I'm not sure. And after really giving it a lot of thought in our conversation and all the good tips that you were providing in like what you could support me with, I felt okay, it's time to just try it out. Like, and then I think you gave me an opportunity to sort of test the waters. Your commitment for the group was, I think, a 6-month commitment. So I was like, okay, let's just do it and let's see how it goes. And it's been so instrumental in just helping me get out of this realistic mindset because I kept thinking all these realistic goals and you told me get rid of that word out of your vocabulary. And I think these are the kind of things I really needed because I mean there was even a part where my boss was like, you're not going, my manager was saying, you're not going to reach that goal. It's too big of a goal between now and then. And when he said that, it kind of lit a fire in me. And I came to you and I was like, I got to make this happen. And it was defeating a little bit that I didn't finish it. I didn't reach the goal, but looking back, I increased my production 40%. And I may have increased like 20% without the group, maybe 15, but I know that the group and the guidance and the belief and the faith and the support and the celebrating of the wins helped push me to keep going. It gave me that extra energy I needed to feel confident in myself. And I think those are the kind of things I was lacking. I'd had some really rough years in the industry. The market had dipped and I had come off of a high in 2021 and then it just kept sliding downwards 22, 23, 24 because the industry just got hard. And while I was climbing back up, it was just challenging to find someone to support the energy and the mindset and the wins. So I don't think I would have been where I'm at today because of that. And now going in 2026, I've planted so many seeds based on all the guidance I've gotten. I've gotten things organized. I've made a lot of headway. And so now I'm really busy in my first quarter. I'm having my best first quarter of my entire career.
And it's only January. I mean, we're recording this January 29th. So
Yeah.
I know yesterday you said they're just coming to me. I can't, like so fast. I'm like, yay. So I love that. And it takes time. And that's why there is a commitment with this program that you can't just be in and drop it. It takes time to learn, to be a part of it, to be a part of the group, to figure it out. But also, um, you got to plant those seeds, you got to learn the things, and it takes time, as we said. A couple of lessons that I think you picked up along the way is pretty much when you started, you had that networking group and you were going to present and you asked the group, should I talk about my goal? And what was the answer?
Absolutely.
Heck yes. That people, and I found this over the years, people want to support us. And you got to keep saying it. So did you get good support and help? And did anybody say to you, oh, you're not going to get that done?
No, in fact, like so many people in the group started finding ways to help connect me with other people. They didn't always work out, but those people might be people I helped this year. So just being able to be brave enough to put my goal out in the universe and in front of these people in my networking group and the visitors that were there and being able to continue to say like I'm reaching for this goal was something I wasn't comfortable with, but I think it made a huge difference in what people really did want to help me with.
And have you gotten more comfortable with it now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yay. And and not to throw you under the bus, but at the presentation, I was there and you did an amazing job in your presentation. And when you got to the point about throwing your goal out there, I could tell, and everybody else probably couldn't tell, but I could tell how nervous you were saying that.
Oh
So,
yeah,
it takes time to say it over and over and let people know, but people want to be a part of it. And like with the Mary Kay qualifying for a car, people are like, that I helped with that. And that car or that tire is because of what I've done. And you even mentioned that to me recently with a goal that I have for Mary Kay for another car. And you're like, I'm going to try another skincare because I want to help you reach your goal. And we
absolutely.
all like being part of a team and helping people. I've heard it said that, as we get older, a lot of us, or a lot of people, you graduate from high school, you graduate from college, and then it's not, yay, mom, you did this, or the toilet's clean, or there's not a lot of people applauding us for what we do. And I think we
That's so
need to
true.
do more of that, applauding people. I was just listening to a book this morning talking about mattering is the book. Like, we need to let people know they matter by
I,
applauding them and talking to them. Somebody actually, and I didn't even think about this till I just um, said this, is I saw somebody post something on Facebook this morning. He went to a grocery store. Usually he said he goes, Tom Schweitzer, by the way. I don't know if you know him, but he's been on the podcast as well. But he usually goes to the grocery store after working out. But yesterday he happened to go dressed up and nice. And the cashier was just, look at tell, was having a hard day. And he said to her, he started having a conversation and talking to her. And then she rang something up wrong and she was like not upset about it. And he's like, don't worry about it. It's broccoli and we can fix it. And she's like, well, I got in trouble yesterday. He's like, oh, I was a cashier when I was a kid or years ago and I did awful. And he said, in sharing this story, that she just felt seen at the end, thanked him. It's those
oh,
little things that like let people know they matter and to get people to be a part of it. And then it's a good lesson to share our goals with other people, but then also to cheer on other people.
yeah,
Ask them what are they working on and cheer them on. And remember those little things. And this is going on a whole nother tangent, but remember those little things about just a text to somebody when they pop in your head makes a big difference.
does
And just a card if they're going through a hard time, and just those little things definitely add up.
100%. I think that's a really underrated connection that people forget about. Is just they appreciate being reminded that there's someone's thinking of them, and they appreciate getting that card in the mail, even if it just says "Hi, thinking of you." Those things feel really good inside.
Yep.
Um, but I think one of the cool things about being in the group is that I was really afraid of like what it was going to do as a sales manager that I didn't hit my goals, and you and the rest of the group helped kind of coach me through those emotions too. Because I felt inadequate a little bit. I felt like I hadn't how was I supposed to lead a team to achieve their goals if I didn't reach my own?
Mhm.
And then I think it was really powerful how you said, like, sometimes they just need to see that you went for the goal and it's okay that you didn't succeed. Like the growth that you had in that time frame of reaching for the goal is powerful enough. And in talking to one of the loan officers that work with me, she was like, I am so grateful that you shared the journey and that I can see and experience the emotions that you're having during the time that you didn't reach the goal and how you're not letting it stop you. It's just giving you the fuel for the fire for the next year. And I think that connection too also really helped her because it let her know it's okay to, fail forward basically.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's one of the messages I really try hard to get across with this podcast is give people hope and permission.
Yeah.
Like hope that they can do it and permission that, you know what, we're all not going to succeed. And you know what, if we would have come on here and said, Nichole had this goal, she joined the inner circle, she reached it and doubled it and she did everything great. There's no lessons. And you're like, what's wrong with me? I'm not able to do that. But we need to talk about the failures and the reaching. I remember one day, it was actually the day of your presentation. You said right before you went to present that a big contract had just fallen through or a big mortgage and you're disappointed. I'm like, first of all, don't look at your phone right before that. But then you said you got bigger blessings that came from somewhere else. So Yeah, that's a good segue just to talk about the podcast and why not today. And the message before we go any further is why not today was started as a moment, why not today moment for me to start this podcast. And I started, it'll be 4 years in March of 2026, which is hard to believe. Yay. But I just started and it wasn't perfect. And it's hard to believe we're at this point. And then it grew and evolved. So why not today is in honor of my father, who often said, why not today? And that's part of the logo. And so it's evolved and I've evolved and grown. So I always say as a courage coach and the founder of the Why Not Today movement, which is to inspire all of us to live our life, be brave, and pursue our dreams. And then it's grown. I did start a business myself with this a couple years ago. And what I found is there's so much I didn't know that I didn't know. And owning a business can be lonely. And so that's where it's grown, where I've started the Why Not Today Connects networking events. We have luncheons. We're going to do a co-working event. We've done some fun paint events, but then the inner circle is what really the sweet spot and where I can support people in business. Right now it's women. Maybe eventually we'll add men. And then I'm going to add one more thing, which Nichole and I are going to schedule something today for this. And we're going to do strategic operating systems strategy or strategy. We haven't come up with a name, but it's basically the acronym SOS. And it's going to be, has anybody ever felt like I just need some systems put together and I just need the time to get this done and we never do it? And so I'm going to sit down side by side with people. Nichole's going to be my guinea pig with the laptop, and we're going to knock out some systems and get some things done. And I remember one time, it's a good story to share right now, is I had a good friend in Mary Kay, and it was, I don't remember when it was, but snowstorm after snowstorm after snowstorm. And finally there was a break in snowstorms and I'm single living by myself. I'm like, I got to get out of this house. So literally I packed up all my stuff and went to her house and with her husband and kids and stayed there for a couple of days, got snowed in with them. And we were able to knock out some projects together that we'd had on our to-do list forever. And it just took that body doubling, helping each other. So that's really what Why Not Today is about. It's about supporting people in business, helping people grow, being the bridge for people with the challenges and just to take action because that's so key. So another point, back to you, Nichole, is there was another call that we had in the inner circle and you were feeling a little disappointed and reaching your goal and looking at the numbers. And you're like, that's just not me. You're looking at your total number you had to hit. And so we pivoted on that. And instead, I asked you, and because you're so good on social media, posting about the people you've helped. So you pivoted with, instead of how much you have to sell with mortgages, it's how many people are you helping?
Yes. So I had to reach this goal, or my goal in my mind was to get to the President's Club. I needed 20 million. And I kept having a hard time resonating with the volume amount because I'm such like a person that wants to help and my heart is of service, and trying to look at it from a volume perspective and the amount that I needed to make dollar wise was really a disconnect because I couldn't create that connection for me personally until I started shifting it to the people, like you had mentioned. You and the group said, maybe stop looking at the numbers and start looking at the people that you can help and the amount of people you can help. And that really has changed the game for me. And I think that's why things have really opened up into this first quarter, because I'm looking to help as many people as possible. And so no longer am I focused on that big volume number. I'm reaching for how many people can I help? And so 2026, my goal is to help 75 people either purchase or refinance so that I can help them feel comfortable with their monthly mortgage payment. And that excites me more than whatever that volume number would be to relate to that. Even though I know it, I'm not focusing on it. I'm focusing more on that. And you advised me, to kind of put together either a poster or something where I put the picture of the houses and like put a little sticker on top each time I get somebody there. So I don't have that set up just yet, but I did put it in my Remarkable that I have, 75 spots. And then as I'm closing each one, I'm putting the date and I'm going to put their name in there so that it's more personal to me and I can feel the connection with the people. But these are the kind of shifts that the inner circle helps me with, because you guys really do, you especially help me so much with those little tweaks of just like, how can we connect it more personal to you? And this is where I think women in general just have that strength. We're so much better at creating those little moments that make a huge difference because we are more like emotionally connected to one another, and we can see that. So my manager probably, even though he's fantastic, probably would have never thought to like just focus on the people then. And it was really being in this group that helped me see that.
Yay. And women are more relational
Yes.
and men are more transactional in general, not always. But having the poster, I've actually done for reaching goals, had a poster just with people's picture of the people just out of a magazine of people I wanted on my team. And it's amazing how you write down the name underneath it. And there's so many people that look like that person. And it goes back to vision boards, which we recently did, which was so much fun. But I had know somebody years ago, she wanted to get married and meet somebody. And so on her vision board, she put a very handsome man on it. And ironically, this was a while ago, she ended up putting the Marlboro man on it with a cigarette. She didn't want a man with a cigarette, but guess what she got? So sometimes you have to be careful, but I love, it's a mind shift and it's somebody else looking at it from a different perspective. And sometimes, like you said, your manager saying, oh, that's realistic, you can't get it done. That put fire under your feet. And that's the same way my brain works. You tell me I can't do something. I remember one time we were qualifying for a Cadillac. We had a couple days left and we were nowhere near it. And I was coming home from the lake. And again, a why not say moment. I remember exactly where I was when I was talking to another sister sales director. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not going to reach it. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not going to reach it? Of course I'm going to reach it. And that just put my fire under me. And my friend, when I finished and called him and been at the lake with him, and I said I was done, he's like, you did? Like, yeah, why do you doubt me? But you got to have that fire, and it's the not give up. And, I haven't made all my goals, and that's okay. You remember those, but you learn the lessons and pick them up and keep going. It's,
And in this journey, I think with you by my side, you didn't let me give up. I mean, you were sending me notes and you were checking in on me via text and you're like, where are you at? But then the group was doing the same thing. I got so much support from the ladies too. Like every time I got on the call, where are you at? How are you doing? And it was really encouraging to keep going and to push, even when I felt like it's not going to happen. I just need to just call it, and you're like, don't ever say that. That's way too realistic. Like, we're going to focus on miracles happen, miracles happen.
they
And you
do.
know what?
And
I closed
good.
one in December, a nice one that got me like really close to the goal was it came in like December 5th and I had already kind of given up in my head I kind of had given up. You wouldn't let me give up, but like my I was like, I can't do it in less than 30 days, it's just not going to happen. And then this one just came out of nowhere and they're like, we found a house, we want to go under contract, and it was boom, 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 done. And that really pushed over to that goal that I was working towards. So it was
Yeah,
exciting.
it's mindset, it's not quitting, but also having somebody behind you when you're ready to quit. Because we always have those moments. There was another time I was reaching a goal and I reached out to a friend and I was ready to quit. And she's like, no, what can you do to get in front of this person? What can you bribe them with, offer them? And I did. And another friend is like, would have said, oh, sorry. You need that friend that's going to push you a little hard, not
Mhm.
mean about it, but just push you. And we all know those people. But then you also know the people that they'll say, oh, so sorry you're not going to reach it. You're like, no,
Yeah.
done.
You never let me say that to myself.
No, and I won't. I'm going to push you maybe sometimes hard, but that's okay. It's mindset. So anything else before we close that you want to share that um, with your journey, or why not say moments or courage that you've had to? I know, actually, I want to go back to, I have an idea I want to talk about. And it's something we talked about when I asked you, have you ever reached a big goal before? And how did you feel and what were the steps? And so, in life, whether you were in sports as a kid or you've done other things, you bring all those things to the table. So you had another major accomplishment in your life. And I think that helps you, and you need to reach back into that when you've reached those things. So let's talk about that big goal you reached and
Yeah.
how you did it and how you felt and how that helped you reach this goal or get
Yeah.
close to this goal.
So I ran a marathon and I'm asthmatic. And I thought, you know what, before I'm 35, I want to run a marathon. And it seemed kind of like a gigantic, huge goal. Um, but I wanted to challenge myself. And so I did it. And I made it through 26.2 miles. It took like, I don't know, 8, 9 months to train for it. And it was absolutely one of the hardest things I ever did. My goal really wasn't to win the race at all. It was just so that I could finish on my feet. And there was a part like around mile 9 that I was really struggling. I had to sit down. The medics were like, we need to take you back. And I was like, no, just give me some time. I've done this before. I've trained for this before. I'm going to keep going until like either I cross the line or I fall on my face. Like I'm not giving up. And I think having achieved that, I did cross the finish line. It took me longer than a lot of people, but I also wasn't last, and I did do it on my feet, so that was pretty exciting. And when I feel like I'm having a hard time facing something big, I always reach back to that moment of, wow, I can't believe I achieved that, and I can do hard things, and it feels amazing. Like I don't know if I've ever been as proud of myself as I was that moment, and being able to truly finish that race on my feet and not give up even when it was really, really hard at points. And it was also like I went south to run my first marathon because I don't run well in the cold. And it ended up being the coldest start they've ever had to the marathon in the history of that marathon. And
Oh, yay.
you've got to be kidding me. So it was very hard on my lungs, but I had been prepared, and I had like the right coverings for my face so that I could breathe better, and I had trained, and that helped me a lot. So it really is something that I can use in the future every time I face something big. And it helped me through 75 hard. I did 75 hard a few years ago,
Oh,
and
wow.
that gave me a
For you.
lot of clarity and mental strength, I think, when I was going through a rough time with the career. So both of those things I think really have inspired me to keep going when it's tough. But then having the cheerleaders along the way, like the inner circle, that really helps a lot more.
And that's the same with the marathon.
Yeah,
Never done one, but my brother did one. And, I was on this a spectator cheering them on. And it's invigorating and exciting and makes you want to do it too.
right.
Um, no, but I don't.
I won't ever do another one again. Not
So
not a
I'm proud of you for doing it, but yeah, it's not on my list. Maybe. I don't know. My scary thing that I'm thinking about doing, and it's not that scary, is the lake where I live is frozen. And I used to skate on it and I haven't in years. So I'm seriously thinking about going buy some ice skates. So I need to tell myself, why not today?
That's
Go do
exciting.
it. Yeah, got to do those things. So, well, thank you for Nichole for sharing and so much insight. And I'm so grateful for you to be in my life and part of the inner circle. And can't wait to cheer you on next year as you blow past that goal and might have to adjust it. Right?
Thank you so
Do we
much.
know where the trip is next year, by the way?
Not yet. They haven't announced it.
Okay. Well, as soon as they do, you got to have that somewhere.
Yep. And then I'll get all the pictures like you told me and start envisioning it just like you've advised me to. And thank
Yay.
you so much, Leslie. I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and the inner circle really makes a huge difference. And it's really exciting to see where this is going. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. And if anybody's interested in hearing more, let me know. I do curiosity calls. By the way, you cannot just sign up to be in the inner circle. You have to have a call to make sure you're a good fit because it goes both ways. So if anybody's struggling, feel like you need the support, let me know. Oh, and I was going to ask you too. So it wasn't in your budget, but you joined anyway, and you increased your production by 40%. And I assume that comes with commissions.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm assume you're ahead of the game.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yay! Always good to hear. Well, thank you again, Nichole, and thank you everybody for joining us on the Why Not Today podcast. It's your space for practical tools, real encouragement, and courageous growth. So whether you're launching something new or navigating a pivot, I hope you're leaving today's episode with a clear next step and a reminder that you're not alone. You can check out everything you want about Why Not Today at the whynottodaymovement.com website. And this podcast is your bridge from inspiration to action, and I'm here to walk with you every step of the way. So if this episode spoke to you, share with a friend, review it, subscribe, and remember, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one brave step. And why not today? Thanks, Nichole. Bye.